What if we have so much more capacity than we are aware of? And I'm not saying that in the sense, sometimes I think it can be heard as you're not doing enough. You could be doing more. Because we often think of our capacity as what we do, what we put out. But what if you have so much more spiritual capacity than you are aware? Awakening capacity. What if your capacity for love and compassion and wisdom were just so much greater than you give yourself credit for? What if that's true? During the retreat, we opened this short koan from the great teacher, Zen Master Yunmen. And koans, in the way that I'm going to present this case, are part storytelling device. Like the great myths from human history, koans speak in archetypal language. They speak from a specific time, but point to the timeless nature. But they also are awakening devices. They remind us to look behind the veil. They tell stories of others who have done this. They are awakening technologies that have been passed down now for over a millennia to aid in our own revelation, the revelation of our own heart-mind. They are apocalypses. Blue Cliff Record, Case 87, Yunmen's Medicine and Sickness. Yunmen said to the assembly, "Medicine and sickness heal each other. The whole world is medicine. The whole world is medicine. What is yourself?" Medicine and sickness heal each other. The whole world is medicine. What is yourself? I find that koans help me clarify my own deep questions. Medicine and sickness heal each other. This isn't supposed to make sense to the rational mind. This isn't something that you can explain away. Okay, listened to a talk about a koan, got that one, what's the next one? These are questions that are meant to live into your being. Chosen Roshi once referred to koans as ticking time bombs. We swallow it down, and if you really take it in, it will reveal, if you really let the question work on you. What is this sickness? What is this sickness Yunmen speaks of? What is the sickness of our times? Is the climate crisis the sickness of our times? What's underneath that? That's another thing about koans. They always ask, well, what's underneath that? Anything your mind comes up with. Well, what else? What else is true? What is the sickness of our times? The Buddha pointed to greed, hatred, and delusion. Called them the three poisons. Greed, hatred, and delusion. Wanting things to be otherwise. How do you experience this sickness? How do we experience it collectively? In our atonement chant, we talk about greed, anger, and delusion, or greed, hatred, and ignorance as being beginningless. And we can now map out, we have an understanding of how trauma is passed down through beliefs, through ideas, but also through our soma, through our DNA. How do you experience sickness? Where do you suffer in your life? A great teacher, Vimalakirti, said in the Vimalakirti Sutra, he's portrayed as a layperson, awakened layperson, who is ill. And all of the bodhisattvas go to visit him with some reluctance because they know he's more awakened than they are. And he says at one point, Manjushri Bodhisattva asks him, "Why are you sick? Why are you doing this? Why are you manifesting as a sick person?" And he says, "I'm sick because the world is sick." I'm not separate. I'm not separate. There's greed and hatred and delusion in this world, and I'm part of it. Okay, there's sickness. What is the medicine? Sickness and medicine, medicine and sickness heal each other. What is the medicine? Or maybe the question is, how is the climate crisis medicine? How is the apocalypse medicine? During the grief ritual last night, we had different ways of viewing the medicine of this climate crisis. We had set in the center of the circle a stick representing anger, a rock representing fear, leaves representing grief, a bowl representing hope, and a jizo. And everybody spoke to hope on some level. Everybody saw vow in their grief, in their sorrow, in their anger, in their fear. How is the climate crisis medicine? One person said, crisis brings people together. We knock on each other's doors. We say hello. We bow when we see each other. We see each other. We see each other. That doesn't happen very much in our culture. To see and be seen. To see through the eyes of love. Another person said, it helps us dream of a more sustainable life, and that's happening. It's happening in the scientific community. It's happening throughout the world. It brings us in alignment with our deepest values. Another said it helps us appreciate the wonder, the beauty of this life. This earth is beautiful, mysterious, beautiful. The beauty will continue. It invites us to awaken, to look at what is truly reliable. When everything else seems to be taken away, we knew these systems were not working. So in a way, it's welcome. Don't know where it will take us, but we can dream of a life, of a world, of a society built on compassion and interconnection and true seeing. One of the aspects of the climate crisis that might be most potent as medicine, and potent in the way medicine is potent, not always what we want to swallow, is this collective contemplation of death. And I heard this so much in the grief ritual last night. So many people coming together to share how they are contemplating death, their own death, the death perhaps of the species or of the ones they love. What lives on after my short life? How can I live in service of this one life? If we allow the climate crisis to be part of our deep contemplation of what is life, what is death, perhaps we are together without even knowing it, growing generations of bodhisattvas who aren't living stifled by their own fear of death, but living for this one life. What kind of freedom comes about when people aren't living in fear of their own death? When you aren't living in fear of your own death? When you're living for the beauty of this life? When you're living for what is most true? What surpasses your own life? When you're living for the community, for the earth? Yunmen says the whole world is medicine. The whole earth is medicine. I've been appreciating the practice of sitting outside. And in 8 days, if you'd like to join us, we have another 5-day retreat with outdoor practice called Grasses and Trees Sesshin. I've been coming to the realization that we cannot simulate the outside. When we sit outside, we are permeated by nature. The earth is alive. When we sleep under the stars, there is a somatic imprint that we are part of something larger. I currently am working part-time at an outpatient mental health facility for teens and young adults. And one of our curriculum chapters, we talk about stargazing. And it's just so wonderful to talk about stargazing with adolescents. Just the kind of like wonder and mystery that comes alive. Like most people who are in that program are working with really chronic anxiety. And how like life is renewed when we talk about stargazing. It's amazing. Stargazing or open is just simple human things, but it's something that humans have been doing since humans were. And that sky, well, it didn't have light pollution. It was a different sky. Stargazing, we're opened up to the sentience, the mystery of Earth, the mystery of the cosmos. What are we a part of? Leaf, wind, dandelion, rock, deer, tree, star, moon, night, all alive. Mysterious, autonomous, apparent others that we can become intimate with, that we can learn from, that we can have relationship with. It's not just about us learning, but it's relationship. The whole earth is medicine. How much of the earth do you know? How much of the earth have you tasted? Do you know the medicine of this earth, of this world? Sitting outdoors has been a great clarifier for me. It helps me live into the pregnant wildness of the natural world. Our minds that are conditioned are so conditioned by human concerns. There's a way in which when we undo the conditioning of our minds, when we sit zazen and let that self-making part of the mind just kind of unwind, unburden, we're living into the wildness of original mind, the spontaneity of nature, which is pure creation. Nature unfolds. Life lives on. The thoughts, the dreams, the ideas that flow through me, that's nature. Part of nature's unfolding, part of Earth's dream. A koan like this invites the imagination. Perhaps all koans do. They invite us to think the unthinkable, to live into what maybe before we considered unlivable. Is the medicine of capitalism found in its sickness? What about the medicine of anger, the medicine of self-doubt, the medicine of violence, the medicine of distraction, the medicine of fear? These sicknesses that I face every day, are they medicine? Nature's creativity spontaneously emerging. How is this medicine? What world are you allowing to be created in your heart? Can you see pain as medicine? As part of our healing? The whole world is medicine, Yunmen says. Who is yourself? Dogen Senji says, the way the self arrays itself is the shape of the entire world. Later, James Hillman said, psyche is world. We can appreciate this question on many levels. Are we imagining this world into being? What do you know of this world that is separate from your imagining? or separate from your direct experience? What world is being created in your heart? The way we story the world is how we live in the world. I've shared this a few times, but I love this koan from Alice in Wonderland. This is from the Queen of Hearts. She says, "I believe 6 impossible things before breakfast." Have you ever tried doing that? Like writing down 6 things that are impossible? And just, I've been doing that lately. It's so interesting. I mean, I was like, okay, I'll try it. World peace. Let me believe in world peace. But when I wrote that down, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't let myself believe that. But what if I did? What if I did? Like, how would my life be different? What if I mean, we take these vows of awakening all beings. What if you really believed that was possible? Like, really believed it? What kind of world would you live in? What kind of world would we live in? What far-reaching vows could you seed in your heart for the benefit of all beings? Bodhichitta, that's what we call this vow for the awakening of all beings. It doesn't belong to any of us, but when we let it seed in our hearts, perhaps that is the most potent medicine for our times. More people living from bodhicitta. And if you're living from bodhicitta, you can face anything. Everything could be practice. Everything is part of your awakening. No matter what happens in this world. It is a spiritual elixir. It keeps us engaged and open to new ways of being in community, new ways of practicing compassion, of recognizing interconnection. Keeps us dreaming for the benefit of all beings. Yunmen says, the whole world is medicine. Who is yourself? What is yourself? One of the Dharma teachers in Oregon, Domyo from Brightway Zen in Beaverton, she started this podcast called The Climate and You. Has anyone heard of it? It's really sweet. She offers a new podcast every week. And one of the early ones, she was talking about shifting from being in this dialogue or narrative about a climate emergency to thinking about the climate more in the ways that we think of or make effort when there's like a long war happening, like the world wars. So unfortunately, I don't want to use like war analogy, and she said that too, but it is something that we can understand on like a national global level. And one of the reasons for making this shift is when we think of emergency just as a species, as humans, as individuals, we move more in like this 24-hour time frame. Like when there's an emergency, you respond to the emergency, and then you get to like cool down and like hug and recuperate. And then like there's the next emergency and you like galvanize effort and do it. We can't do that for the climate crisis when it's decades long. We're gonna wear ourselves out if we're just always in a state of emergency and we don't get those breaks. But wartime effort is more of a sense of like everybody is part of this, and you do your part, I'll do my part, and we'll do it all together. And here everyone has a place. It's like the mandala. Every energy is welcome in the service of all beings. Scientists, activists, healers, poets, shamans, educators, artists, whatever you have to offer, it's part of this effort. So I've been loving that. You know, we talk about vow, we talk about spiritual vow a lot in this community. And it's such an important part of, if you're going to be on the spiritual path, if you're not just in this for like a little bit more relaxation, vow is so crucial. And spiritual vow, I was thinking about spiritual vow in regards to having 3 eyes. A lot of the bodhisattvas are depicted as having 3 eyes. And so one aspect of spiritual vow is this eye of apocalypsis, this eye that's able to look behind the veil, to look back at what is always true. That's like such a foundational vow in the Zen tradition, in the human tradition. The other vow is the other eye, the other aspect of vow is looking forward, dreaming into a new future, looking for the new buds that are blooming, fostering the heart of compassion, of community, discovering your place, your talents, your gifts to offer. The third eye, which is often right here on the bodhisattvas, is the eye of right here, right now. Who are you? You could call it the eye of emptiness. You could call it the eye of deep presence. All 3 eyes are part of vow. This living that we're doing here together is dynamic. Sangha helps keep practice alive. Isn't it so much more enlivening to sit with people, to know that you're doing this work with people, to share your aspiration with others? Sangha helps us to continue to ask questions that maybe we feel are unaskable. They help us open to courage to face the mystery of who we are, and to love, and to love, and to love. Thank you.